The most watched self-improvement videos on this platform all share something in common. Not a topic, not a style, not even a philosophy, a pattern. And the pattern is so consistent, so perfectly optimized that it has become invisible. The way wallpaper becomes invisible after the first week in a new apartment. The pattern is this. Somewhere in the first 90 seconds, the viewer is told that they are different, that the fact they clicked on this video is proof of something, that most people will never see what they are about to see, that they are already ahead, already awake, already special. It sounds like encouragement, it feels like recognition, and it might be the single most effective mechanism ever designed for keeping a person exactly where they are. That is a strong claim, so let us test it. Take any 10 self-improvement videos with over 1 million views. Any 10. Spirituality, productivity, mindset, stoicism, manifestation. The topic does not matter. Watch the first 2 minutes of each. In 7 or 8 of them, some version of this appears. If you're watching this, you're not like most people. Or, the fact that you found this video is not a coincidence. Or, you're already further along than you think. The specific words change. The mechanism does not. The viewer is identified as special before the content begins, before any idea has been presented, before any action has been suggested. The specialness is granted at the door, like a wristband at a club. And once it is on, it changes how everything that follows is received. There is a reason this works, and it has nothing to do with mystery. It is neurochemistry. Wolfram Schultz at the University of Cambridge spent decades studying how dopamine functions in the brain, not as a pleasure chemical, which is the popular oversimplification, but as a prediction signal. In his foundational research, published across multiple papers from 1997 onward, Schultz demonstrated that dopamine fires not when a reward is received, but when a reward is predicted, and especially when the reward exceeds expectation. A monkey expects nothing. A light flashes. Juice arrives. Dopamine spike. The monkey learns. Light means juice. After conditioning, dopamine fires at the light, not the juice. The anticipation becomes the hit. Now apply this to a self-improvement video. A person clicks, expecting information, tips, strategies, maybe a new perspective. Instead, within 30 seconds, an unexpected reward arrives. Validation, recognition. The message that the viewer is already special, already ahead, already different from the masses. That is an unexpected reward, and the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward anticipation center, treats it accordingly. Dopamine fires. The viewer feels good before a single useful idea has been communicated. And that feeling, that small neurochemical lift, is now associated not with having done something, but with having watched something. The reward arrived before the work. That is the mechanism. And that mechanism has a consequence, because dopamine does not just create a pleasant sensation, it creates learning. The brain learns. Watching this kind of content makes a person feel like a better version of themselves. Not becoming a better version, feeling like one. And over time, the feeling becomes the product. Not the content, not the advice, not the technique that might actually change behavior. The feeling. The emotional signature of progress, without the progress itself. Viewers return, not for information they will apply, but for the next instance of being told they are ahead. Each time, the return feels like growth, because the neurochemical signature is identical to actual growth. The brain cannot distinguish between the feeling of moving forward and actually moving forward. It only registers, this felt like progress. And that is not a conspiracy theory about content creators. Most of them are not doing this deliberately. They have simply found, through trial and error and algorithmic feedback loops, that videos which validate the viewer in the opening seconds perform better. Higher click-through, higher retention, more subscribers. The algorithm rewards the pattern. The creator follows the data. The viewer gets what feels good. Everyone wins, except that nothing changes. Leon Festinger published his theory of cognitive dissonance in 1957. The core idea is straightforward. When a person holds two contradictory beliefs simultaneously, the resulting discomfort drives them to resolve the contradiction, usually by discarding the belief that requires more effort to maintain. Now consider someone who has watched 200 self-improvement videos over the past year. That person holds two beliefs at the same time. Belief 1. This content is making me better. Belief 2. Nothing in my life has materially changed. Those beliefs contradict each other, and resolving the contradiction is painful because resolving it means admitting that 200 hours of watching may have been 200 hours of sophisticated procrastination dressed in the language of growth. So instead, the brain does what brains do with dissonance. It constructs a story that makes both beliefs true simultaneously. The change is internal, it just hasn't manifested externally yet. Real growth is invisible to others. The transformation is a process, not an event. Each of those statements might be true. In some situations, they are. But they also function as shields, protecting the viewer from the possibility that consumption and action are not the same thing. And the videos keep providing fresh material for the shield. Every "you're already special" reinforces the story that watching equals growing. Every "most people will never understand this" confirms that the act of watching is itself evidence of progress. The loop closes, and it is airtight. This is the part most people skip, not because it is complicated, because it is uncomfortable. The question underneath all of this is simple. What is the difference between a video that changes something and a video that produces the feeling of change? And the honest answer is that from the inside, in the moment of watching, they feel identical. Both produce a sense of clarity. Both produce a sensation of forward motion. Both produce the thought, yes, this is what was missing. The difference only becomes visible hours later, days later, when the clarity fades and the habits reassert themselves and the alarm goes off on a Wednesday morning and the life is exactly the same as it was last Wednesday. If the content changed something, there is a residue, a small, specific, actionable thing that is now being done differently. If the content only produced the feeling of change, there is a different residue, the quiet, half-conscious urge to find another video. That urge is the signal, and most people mistake it for curiosity. Carol Dweck at Stanford has spent decades studying the relationship between praise and motivation, and the findings apply here with uncomfortable precision. Her research on mindset, published across multiple studies from 1998 through 2016, revealed a pattern that educators now know well, but the self-improvement space has completely ignored. When children are praised for being smart, "You're so talented, you're a natural," they develop what Dweck calls a fixed mindset. They begin to avoid challenges because failure threatens the identity they have been given. They perform worse over time, not better. When children are praised for effort and specific process, "You worked hard on that problem. Your strategy for approaching this was effective," they develop a growth mindset. They seek challenges, they recover from failure faster, they improve. The mechanism is clear. Identity-based praise creates an identity to protect. Process-based praise creates a process to repeat. Now consider the self-improvement space through this lens. "You're already special" is identity-based validation at scale. It creates an identity, the awakened one, the aware one, the one who is ahead of most people, and that identity must now be protected. Challenging information becomes threatening. Difficult truths feel like attacks on the self-image, and the viewer, without realizing it, begins to select content that confirms the identity rather than content that challenges it. The feed becomes a mirror, and mirrors are comforting. But mirrors do not change anything. They only show what is already there. There is a deeper layer, and this is the quiet part. The reason validation without challenge is so effective is not just neurochemistry and cognitive dissonance, it is loneliness. Most people watching self-improvement content late at night, and the analytics on these channels confirm that late-night hours are peak viewing, are not watching because they want to be told they are special. They are watching because they want to be seen. They want someone to articulate the thing they feel but cannot name. They want evidence that they are not alone in the specific flavor of stuckness that defines their current life. And when a voice says, "You're not like most people," even a voice from a screen, even a voice that says it to everyone, it meets that need. For a moment. And the moment passes, and the need returns, and the next video begins. That need is real, and meeting it without solving it, even unintentionally, is what makes this pattern dangerous. Not because the creators are villains, they are not, but because the format itself has evolved to fill a need without resolving it. Like a painkiller that masks the symptoms so effectively that the patient never seeks treatment for the underlying condition. The pain management becomes the routine, and the routine becomes invisible. So what actually changes things? The research points in a consistent direction, and the direction is not glamorous. Dweck's work on process-based growth. The literature on implementation intentions, Peter Gallwitzer's research showing that people who specify when, where, and how they will act on a goal are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through than people who simply decide to act. The consistent finding across all of these lines of inquiry: what changes behavior is not insight. It is not clarity. It is not the right idea arriving at the right moment. What changes behavior is a specific action, performed in a specific context, repeated until it becomes automatic. Not a feeling, not an identity, a practice. And practice is boring. Practice does not generate a dopamine spike in the first 30 seconds. Practice is the Wednesday morning alarm. Practice is the 5-minute journal entry that nobody will see. Practice is the conversation handled differently, even though no one noticed or applauded. None of this makes a good thumbnail. And now, the part this video owes its audience. Because if this video has spent 20 minutes explaining how other videos create the illusion of progress through validation, and then ends with, "But this video is different, this channel is different, the fact that you watched this one means something," then this video is doing the exact same thing. Using awareness of the trap as just another form of the trap. Meta-validation, a slightly more sophisticated version of the same pattern. So here is what honesty requires. There is a real possibility that this video will end, and the sense of clarity and self-awareness it produced will change nothing. That the insight about the pattern will itself become part of the pattern, another layer of understanding that substitutes for action. A more articulate version of being stuck. That is not a failure of the video. That is the nature of the machine. And the only exit from the machine is not a better video, or a deeper insight, or a more honest channel. The only exit is the thing that happens after the tab closes. The specific, small, unglamorous thing. The one that nobody will ever make a video about. And that is worth sitting with for a moment. Not the answer anyone wanted, but probably the one that was needed. We have spent 3 weeks going deep, the mechanics of thinking, the shadow of detachment, the cost of unavailability, the reality of non-reactivity, and now the architecture of the machine itself. Thursday, something different. How the brain actually handles decisions when everything feels uncertain. Not philosophy, not motivation, a framework. The kind of thing that works on a Tuesday afternoon when there are 4 options and none of them feel right. Practical, concrete, no motivational speeches included.